Hello folks, the White Guy here again. Welcome to my home on this very beautiful yet cold winter day. This is a continuation video of my description of the devil series. I took a break on the last video. I want to do that from time to time. This devil character gets old. Anyway, the name of this video is called The White Guy Introduces the Son of Perdition. You know, depending on which Bible version, the term lawless one and son of destruction are often used as a substitute for the title or term son of perdition. So at times doctrines of men had given these three titles to a devil character in order to prove once again of its existence. And that's what I'm going to hit on right now. So let's get son of perdition out of the way, found in John 17:12. And it says, "While I was with them, I was keeping them in your name which you have given me," Jesus is speaking, "and I guarded them, and not one of them perished, but the son of perdition, so that the scripture would be fulfilled." You know, in context, this was referring to Judas, folks. I mean, I think most people know that. And referring to Judas, not a devil. So why is it that in other places where the same phrase is used, is being referred to as a devil? And not a human being, not a person, like Judas was. That's the key. That's what it's all about. So anyway, and notice how too that this verse talks about that not one of them perished, but the son of perdition. Folks, the word perish in Koine Greek just simply means death. That's all it means. It doesn't mean eternal damnation. So we all know what a son is. But the key is to know what perdition means. So let me expose, okay, what the insidious way once again, the ancient Latin Church. How the ancient Latin Church perverted and how they defined perdition. Did that make sense? Man, I stepped all over myself on that one. Now, I looked into the ancient Latin Church history to get this. As per Wikipedia, quote, "In Christian theology, is meaning perdition, means a state of eternal punishment and damnation into which a sinful and unrepentant person passes after death." So I thought, what the hell? Pun intended. Okay. How does the secular world define perdition? Webster's says A, eternal damnation, and B, hell. See, this tells me that the term son of perdition is synonymous to son of eternal damnation or son of hell, when in the Koine Greek, in this same passage, it calls him the son of the lost. Do you see how the words perdition, lawless, and destruction, how much more of a punch they have compared to loss? We've been set up so bad. So bad. So do you see why I consider the Latin translation both deceptive and insidious? And notice how the modern world just simply jumps on board. So son of loss? What? Guess what, folks? Whenever someone tries to take over and become their own God, it's their loss. And that applies to all of us equally. The title of son of destruction, or which is sometimes synonymous, like I said before, with son of perdition, can also be found in 2 Thessalonians 2:3. And in context, reading from the same chapter, okay, you'll find. I got lost here for a second. I'm looking for the Bible verse. Anyway, in the same verse, Thessalonians 2:3, lawless one is used in verse 8. So let's read it from the Greek. "May no one, all right, at any point beguile or seduce you folks from a deception, not even down from one turn, not according to one method. Because should not the revolt come first, the human," that's why I said not one, "the human whose source is the sin be uncovered as the son of the loss." Okay? So are these passages really talking about the devil or Antichrist as Christendom claims? Even though the word devil or Antichrist can't be found anywhere within the text. Well, you're wrong, Why Guy. Verse 9 clearly states, "In accord with the activity of Satan," with a capital S, as a name. So really, you know, if you don't know by now, that Satan, the word Satan just simply means adversary. And it can be anyone or anything that's adversarial to God's will. If you don't know that by now, I've done a horrible job, and you should unsubscribe right now. However, for those who want to continue, let's dissect Thessalonians 2, 3 through 12 passages by slowly reading it from, and I'm going to use a Latin-based Bible because that's what people are so familiar with, even though I'm also going to narrate these verses by inserting my own personal comments in between the verses and include what it actually states in the Greek. I'm hoping it'll be kind of fun, okay? At least entertain you a little bit, all right? So, from Thessalonians 2, 3, verse 3 says, "Let no one," there's that no one again, "in any way deceive you, for it will not come unless the apostasy," all of a sudden apostasy is thrown in there, comes first. What comes first? According to Google, the Church of Rome considers apostasy as the rejection of Christianity from someone who was formerly a Christian. Okay? So how can that be when there was no such thing as a Christian when 2 Thessalonians was written in 51 to 52 AD? Hey, I'm not making this stuff up, folks, because Acts 11:26 makes a specific point that it was the first time the title of Christian was used. And that didn't happen until 80 to 90 AD, 34 years after 2 Thessalonians was written. So how did they pull this apostasy crap? Okay. Anyway, as verse 3 implies, you're already letting someone deceive you by agreeing with the definition of apostasy, if you think that's what it means. And besides, that word isn't even in the text. But the Latin stuck it in there, okay? Let me see, where were we? In verse 3, the Greek rendering speaks of not according to one method. So that's what I read earlier, all right? How the ancient Latin church got the word apostasy, you know, the rejection of Christianity from someone who was formerly a Christian, how they got that out of not according to one method is beyond my understanding. That's just nuts. Religiously nuts. Verse 3 continues by saying, "And the man of lawlessness is revealed, the son of destruction." This is where it starts to get really interesting. And by the way, I'm about halfway through. Even the Latin-based version states that this whomever is called the man of lawlessness rather than an entity. And in this context, the spirit, and remember spirit in Koine Greek means attitude of lawlessness. The attitude of lawlessness. It's all around us, folks. Okay? It's in here too. All right? In all of us. So, but the point is, I don't recall the devil ever being called a man. However, Christendom has their answer. It continues by saying, then with a comma, this man is called the son of destruction. So according to Latin-based scripture, not only is the devil a father, but now he's a son as well. A family of devils, huh? Anyway, this Greek rendering of this fictitious son of a whatever you want to call it, it's still called the human in the Koine Greek, whose source is the sin. That is what it's called in the Greek rendering. Do I have to read it again? What was it? 2 Thessalonians, may no one at any point beguile or seduce you folks from a deception, not even down or one turn according to one method. Remember? Not according to one method. That means apostasy, apparently. Because should not the revolt come first, the human whose source is the sin, the human source who is the sin. Folks, if this was a human, the source of sin, say we've been sinning all this time since the beginning, just about the beginning, and then all of a sudden one guy shows up who Christendom claims is the Antichrist, and yet he's now the source of sin. No. Are you following me here? Let's get this right. This is referring to a human, all right? And an Antichrist, I understand, is a human who also, according to Christian teaching, the Antichrist is not a human. If you watch my video, it says the white guy introduces the Antichrist. No, there's no human involved, okay? Unless humans, plural, yes, all of us, then it fits. But you're going to have to go a few videos back and see where I'm coming from. Anyway, this is referring to a human who also happens to be the source of sin. And I have to sarcastically ask, I wonder who best fits that bill. Adam, maybe? This is even more evidence for what I'm trying to explain of how a lot more went on with Adam than we understand. A whole lot more. And I realize it takes assumption and conjecture, but I would rather apply assumption and conjecture to the human nature than trying to cop out and give it all to some kind of a devil character. That's all. Because that requires assumption and conjecture as well. Anyway, verse 4 goes on to saying, who opposes and exalts himself above every so-called God or object of worship so that he takes his seat in the temple of God, displaying himself as God. I was taught that this one character, this one leader of the world, is going to go sit on the throne in Jerusalem, in the temple of God, and proclaim himself as God. See, that's what I was taught. And that this personage that is speaking of, the one and only Antichrist with a capital A, you know, the big boy, the big son of destruction, who's going to bring destruction on the earth by getting God so pissed off that he forces God to pass a judgment and destroy the world for him. I'm not exaggerating this. Wow, this Antichrist has got some real influence if he's able to get God to do his bidding. No, I'm coming close to a close now. Notice how the title of Antichrist is used elsewhere within Scripture, but not here in this verse, and yet everyone claims it's Antichrist. Did you notice that? And there's a good reason for it. This passage has nothing to do with a world leader who was possessed by the devil. Nothing at all. And that's what I was taught for over 30 years. Man, this stuff aggravates me sometimes. So, putting my sarcasm aside, the Greek rendering clears it up. It says, the one continuously occupying an opposite position and constantly lifting himself up over all being normally called God, or an object of worship. That's a key. As to cause him to be seated down into the midst of the temple of God, continuously displaying himself that he is God. Close quote. Wow, I think I should give my opinion on what I think this is all about. No one, the phrase no one, can be any one of us at any time, folks. Even contextually. Believer or non-believer alike. So at any moment, we can lift ourselves up, our will, our ego, and our pride over God's ways and his will. Do you see? Is practical. It makes sense. I agree with how the Greek describes someone who is the object of worship. If you don't agree with this, my assessment thus far, I must ask, do you honestly believe that people don't worship themselves? Have you taken a selfie lately? Oh my gosh, social media is full of it. We do everything we can to keep ourselves healthy and happy. We just do. And more times than not, we make ourselves attractive to others and to satisfy our personal vanity. Then the cherry on top is how we finally seat ourselves in the temple of God. How do we do that? How do we become our own gods? Remember that our bodies are the temple of God. I hope this made sense. So look me up on Facebook if you'd like, and I'm going to leave Facebook under a group called the Y Guy Group, and also I have an avatar name of John Anthony Jones. Consider subscribing to this channel if you haven't already, and give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Apparently that helps the algorithms. And I'm going to leave 5 links, and one to my website, one to Coffee, one to Patreon for those who want to support what I'm trying to accomplish here, and 3 links to Amazon for the 3 books that I've got published. Alrighty, I know this was a lot. Anyway, thank you for viewing.